Welcome back, Deadites and Ghost Beaters, or if you're new to the channel, I am Oldhead Gaming. I'm a horror content creator who drops daily videos on a multitude of games. And today we're talking about the absolutely wild 10 days we've had since the drop for Evil Dead 2013. And there's been a lot of weird stuff that's gone on. We're going to break down all of it and kind of take a look at this wild ride that Saber has put us on in the last 10 days, and probably the experience you're most likely exhibiting while playing the game itself. Now today kind of brought this full circle, and there was this post. A hotfix should go out next week. Hotfix is going to go out because basically all the stuff they had promised, whether it was at the dev stream by Cal himself or in the updated patch notes that dropped on the 8th with the actual game, have all kind of been bullshit and not actually happened. So that kind of put us in a situation, and this is kind of like, let's take a walk through. So let's do what Samuel L. Jackson suggests here.
Hold on to your butts.
That's right, we're going to hold on to our butts, and we're going to walk through this one step at a time, because there's a multitude of things that have transpired. So the first thing that occurred, obviously, was the dev stream on the 7th. And during the dev stream, they talked about a lot of things that we were going to see. With the patch notes, a lot of the fixes we've been asking for all this time. Cars were getting reduced. The Shem's amulet duplication was getting removed. Hunters who dropped their guns were not going to be able to do it. Those were some of the things they really focused on balancing the game. And then the patch dropped, and all of that stuff was listed, and none of it actually worked. None. There's actually more cars in the game on all maps than before the patch, which was kind of weird. Then, unfortunately on the 8th, PlayStation players could not actually access their season pass to download Mia and to download David. Now, fortunately, that only lasted one day, which it wasn't really that bad. It's not like that time where Xbox was left on a completely different client for 8 days because they couldn't get downloaded on the Xbox. So it wasn't anything that bad. It does suck that they couldn't play on launch day, but one day is not the end of the world. So it wasn't too terrible. Then on September 14th, this transpired. This is the tweet from Raquel Corneo, who is a senior artist for Saber Entertainment. And she was talking about how all the work she had done for the mission Adios Eligos had been scrapped. Now, we all know that Adios Eligos was supposed to be Mission 6, but when Mission 6 actually dropped, it was Weekend at Nobi's. Now, don't get me wrong, Weekend at Nobi's was a really fun mission, and there's multiple paths you can take, and it ties in directly to Evil Dead 2013 because David is the playable character. Now, Adios Eligos was going to focus on Kelly being possessed by Eligos, and then Ash basically defeating him, learning how to shoot first, think never. And it looked like a really fun mission. We knew it was coming from almost the beginning. Like, this was initial stuff that was talked about and leaked coming up, and we all knew it was coming. And then, of course, on the 14th, she announced that that is no longer the case, and that we were going to be no longer seeing that mission, and maybe others have also been canceled based on the way that the comments were going as it went down the line. Now, all of a sudden, a day later, that had to be removed. So Saber was like, take that off. I'm not sure exactly what the internal conversation between Raquel and Saber was, but that tweet no longer exists. It does here in this video, though. So basically, that was part of it. And then, of course, the next big thing was none of the stuff was actually for balance was ever listed. So people have been talking since the launch of the pass about stealth buffs or stealth nerfs. And we were all trying to figure out which characters were actually affected by these stealth buffs and nerfs. And as you can see right here above me, you can go right to the patch notes. Nothing was talked about for balance. So we were all under the assumption nothing was actually done. And then a week later, they went back in and updated the patch notes, and we can go over those now and take a look at them to include all the balances. So there was a week we had no idea what actually was affected by the balance. It's been a complete hot mess for 10 days. People are very frustrated. I'm seeing a lot of posts on comments about the game not feeling right. And here's the reason why. And we're going to take a look at those patch notes right now, since, of course, they didn't actually include them with the patch notes. They actually added them back in a week later. Here we go. So the balance completely changed. Like, look at even the patch notes are a little bit different, but the balance completely changed. Like, all this stuff was known, and then all of a sudden, there was all of this stuff, which is not named. And especially stuff like, let's take for example. So, like, it starts with Ed here. Ed's trap cooldown went from 90 to 110 seconds, so that was a nerf. Henry's unstoppable went from 60 to 75 seconds, also a nerf. Probably both were needed, but like there's a lot going on here. And then we saw this strike damage reduction, blunt force trauma reduction, seeing stars damage reduced from 10%, and then survivor leader health has been increased from 1,000. So they buffed the leader health, which they were all a little soft. Now here comes the demon. So demon threat level increased for basic units from 5 to 15, 20 to 45, traps 1 to 1.25. There's a lot going on here that wasn't talked about at all when the initial patch notes dropped, including some pretty big buffs to Puppeteer. Now let's take a look at this. So first of all, Warlord's possessed basic units damage increased from 325 to 400. Puppeteer basic units balanced damage increased from 270 to 350. That is a huge jump up. Necromancer possessed basic unit balance damage 350, 400. Warlord possessed unit headshot damage reduction 180%, 150, 125. Like, this is down the line buffs for demons, and this is why the game feels very different right now. People weren't really sure why. Boss unit health increase 45 to 500 for Warlord. Puppeteer boss health 2500 to 3000. Necromancer boss health unit increase 4,000 to 4,500. Damage to evil energy while possessing a car crashing to survivor reduced from 65 to 30%. Like, cars are just irrelevant for doing any kind of damage. But you do get some increase from car damage to survivors from 200 to 250. Like, increase in revival skill, increase on Warlord's parasite. Like, Warlord got a huge buff and is now very, very, very tough to go against. 2 grossed out to dodge reduced from 5 seconds to 4 seconds. 2 grossed out run reduction from 5 to 4. Bad influence is increased from 20 to 100%. Bad influence damage increased from 20 to 30%. Bad influence cooldown increased, though, from 30 to 60 seconds. Bad influence 1, 2, and 3 were all buffed. Warlord units damage with basics attacks to Necronomicon reduced, though. So taking Warlord against the book is going to be down 25% damage. They also reduced puke duration, but increased puke damage. What we're seeing here across the board is buffs to Puppeteer, and we're seeing some pretty significant buffs. Like, take for example basic from 5, 15, and 30 to 20, 25, and 35. That's some decent increase in health. Puppeteer's health rate for elites 5, 15, 30 to 20, 25, and 35. Another serious. Increase the balance bar. Increase the heavy damage. Puppeteer skill, heavy damage. Elites got increased. Boss got increased damage. Like, pretty much everything. Puppeteer skill, easy access increased from 5, 10, 15 to 10, 15, and 20. Puppeteer skill, possession extension increased from 5, 10, and 15 to 10, 15, and 20. Puppeteer Puppet Master Power Possess cooldown reduced from 90 to 60 seconds. Puppeteer Master Power Possess Extra Health increased from 40 to 80. So that Power Possessed unit is going to hit like a truck, and it's going to be hard to kill. And this is why we've seen a huge boost in Puppeteer over the last week. And now there was some nerfs to Necromancer. Skeletal injury was reduced from 10% to 5%. The Flute to kill cooldown was reduced 5 seconds. Relentless Evil was reduced from 5, 10, and 20% to 2, 5, and 10%. And the Flautist duration reduced from 75 to 70 seconds. There's a lot of different changes that have been going on that were really not talked about, which has really changed the landscape balance-wise. So, we had a bunch of stealth buffs and nerfs that have really been undocumented, and people have just been trying to crunch the numbers and figure things out. Or you could see stuff like, you know, durations of stuff being longer or shorter. But it's been a weird week, and it took them almost 7 days to completely change what you saw there. I'm going to include the video right above me. You can just click right on and see what the original patch notes like. I have literally never, in a single game I've covered in all these years, or played in all these years, have ever seen patch notes completely redone and not say anything about it. It's so weird. Like, this game, I'm not going to call them shady, because I don't think they're shady, but they're definitely having a really rough week. And now we're going to get a hotfix, which, God, I hope it doesn't break more stuff, because all the stuff they said was going to be fixed at the dev stream wasn't. And in some cases, was made worse. I don't know what's going on with this game. We have projects getting canceled and then being hushed on. Like, it's been a rough week, and I don't know if Evil Dead Rise's sudden shift out of the orbit going from October to April has really thrown things asunder, or they're just having this many problems lining up things with Evil Dead the game. But there's some serious red flags being raised right now, and I'm not saying the game is going under. I'm not saying the game is going anywhere at all. But there's some concerns, and where there's concerns, there's stuff you have to keep an eye on. And I don't want to see stuff like this happening. We had this conversation when I did the Adios Eligos video, and now we find ourselves with more stuff going weird, just super weird. And I love Evil Dead the game. I don't want to see it crushed. I don't want to see it removed. I don't want to see it, you know, go under. But I'm really not sure Saber knows what the heck they're doing with it. Let me know what you think of all of this. Do you think the game's in a good place? Do you think it's at a really weird time? What do you think about how they're handling things, their communication? I want to hear all those thoughts in the comments below. As always, thanks for watching, and later, mates.